If you speak to anybody who's been involved in the mining industry in the UK over the last 70 odd years, they'll tell you exactly what this is. Now, this is an Oldham. It's an Oldham Caplamp. And these were pretty ubiquitous in the British mining industry, right from the very early days of the NCB all the way until really very recently indeed. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there's still some in operation now. It's a very, very common, not the only manufacturer of cap lamps, but it's I would imagine the most popular by some degree. Now, this is an Oldham T, or an Oldham T battery, and an Oldham G head, which was quite a common combination. So how does it work? Well, the battery, as you can see, is massive and it's as heavy as it looks. It's a lead acid battery, 2 cells, 2 volts per cell, so it's a 4-volt system. On the back there are 2 big hefty belt loops, so it's designed so that you would wear this on a belt around your waist, and this clips onto your helmet using the bracket on there. The wire goes around the helmet and then down to the battery that's on your waist. Very simple indeed. This particular one's a little bit unusual. It's got a handle as well. You see, Oldham actually also produced like a hand lamp version of this, and this is the top off one of those. For some reason they've swapped it over. Normally you don't have this handle on one of these or this additional bracket, and that just clips onto there for the hand lamp version, and you carry it around like that. The wire or the cable or the flex, whatever you want to call it, to the lamp head is normally much thinner for the hand lamp type, but the head and everything's all the same. And the reason why they do that is so it's completely interchangeable in parts, in a colliery or wherever you're using them, with the normal cap lamps, which really just have a longer cable and no handle. That's the only difference. The battery is interchangeable. As I say, it's a type T battery. There are other ones when they are interchangeable with this head. This particular one says on it, I may as well read it to you, lamp type GT or GTL. It's EX rated, so that means it's approved for use in explosive atmospheres. Type 2. The British standard it applies to, it meets, is 4683 part 4 1973, but they do go back an awful lot longer than that. They're big heavy lamps, but carrying this battery on your waist actually isn't too bad. When I first started off working in mines, I used to use the Oldham like this. Once this is on your waist, actually you don't really feel it too much. When I was doing a lot of exploring of mines, I didn't really like the Oldham too much because I normally had a big backpack and also like a harness, like a caving harness on. To be honest, the belt and the battery just kind of got in the way a bit. It was a bit annoying. But for actually working in a mine, one of these is perfect because you've got the belt anyway, because you've normally got things like self-rescuers on it. You're not generally carrying a backpack or wearing a harness, so it's perfectly practical. What I'm going to do is show you another Oldham head that I have. There's no battery on this one. Those are the wires that connect to the battery terminals in there. This is an earlier one, and I've seen people using these really until quite recently. This has got a 3-watt bulb in it. I appreciate you probably can't see that very well. Maybe you can on the camera. So that's a 3-watt main bulb. It's like a vacuum bulb, so it's really not very sophisticated. Just a big round vacuum bulb there. They all have a pilot bulb too for like a low power mode. Well, it's also a backup, but it's to stop you dazzling people if you're working with them and having lunch with them or having a conversation. You put it onto the pilot bulb, which is the little one at the top. It's a lot more sociable, and the rotating switch there switches between modes. So you've got main, beam, off and pilot, so it couldn't really be much simpler. We have a look at this one again. This is a bit different. It does still have the pilot, it's the same pilot, but the bulb is a halogen, and it's about 4 watts. It's a 1 amp bulb. I forget when these came in actually. I think they were kind of mid-80s they became popular. It's a pre-focus bulb rather than the mini Edison screw like the round ones. They're a lot brighter. You get a really nice pencil beam. Actually, not everyone likes pencil beams, which means you get a very tight spot in the centre. Not ideal for like caving. Lots of cavers have used these as like hand-me-downs from the mining industry just because they're so rugged and dependable. But in like a mine where you've got very long straight tunnels, the pencil beam's quite good because it just shines literally forever. You can send it down tunnels and get good vision a long way away. By today's standards, these are not very bright. If you're used to modern lights underground, caving or even in mines, and you put one of these on today, you'll feel it's really quite dim. But when they came out, these were really the latest thing, and they actually really revolutionised lighting underground. They were extremely popular. You get used to them. Back in the day when I used to use these were pretty much the best thing you could buy. And it didn't feel dim at the time because you hadn't seen anything better. It just felt like a really good lamp. But just compared with today's lamps, it will feel a bit lackluster. But it's a good work lamp. It's a good workhorse. They're really, really strong. It's very, very difficult to break one of these shells. I have seen a friend of mine actually pulled out from a collapse in a slate mine, and the head of this lamp had been shattered. He was all right, but it proves they can break. The battery itself is also extremely rugged. It's a plastic body, but it's really thick. You'd have to be really doing something interesting to break that. The cable as well, it's very, very tightly twisted. Twin core cable, rubber on the outside. Down the middle is a strain relief cord. So there's like a cord of some kind of rope. I think it's like poly rope, and it just gives it a bit of extra strength. And these cables are really, really strong. Most people, I think, in the mining industry today would look back on one of these very fondly. Some people might look back on them with terror, because they certainly had their issues, particularly when cavers got hold of them and used them as just a rugged caving lamp. These are the holes where you have to fill the distilled water to bring the level back up. So you can see the level on there. Cavers used to like putting tape over this to stop them leaking or water getting into them. But if you forget to do that, when you're crawling down a tunnel, quite often you'll find that it'll weep acid all down your leg, which was never a popular thing, as a few people got quite burnt by that. But these were never intended as caving lamps. They're only ever intended as a workhorse mining lamp, even though they saw huge use in the caving frenzy, just because of they really are very good. And because they were made in such huge numbers here in the UK, they're always quite easy to get hold of. Burn time, this battery, they're about 100 watt hours, more or less. So you're looking at about 24, 25 hours on main beam, double that or more on the pilot. So it's a long time, even that's a little bit conservative. I've known of them last longer than that. But beyond there, you really are depleting the battery quite considerably. You can get a brighter bulb for this, although I think if you put that in, it loses its EX rating. It's rated for explosive environments, for methane and such. I believe if you decided to put the 6 watt bulb in this, the 4 volt 6 watt bulb, it was obviously brighter, but then it wasn't approved for use in explosive atmospheres. And obviously you also had a reduced burn time, but it was still a lot. It was like about 18 hours or so. So that's the Oldham lamp. It brings back lots of happy memories for me. You can't buy these anymore, I don't believe. I don't think anyone makes them anymore. I mean, Oldham themselves, the brand, well, the factory in Manchester's long gone. But the brand's been bought by Hawker Enesis, I think, which is an American company. So the Oldham brand exists, but not the original factory. I don't know if anyone's making replacement cells for these or not. I remember about 15 years ago, you could still buy these new. So about 2005, 2006, I actually bought, not this one, I bought another battery. It was brand new from Oldham, all wrapped up. And you could buy the heads and everything as well. But not anymore, not that I've come across. But they are a ubiquitous workhorse, they really are. They've got a lot of history in the UK. It was a very, very successful designer lamp just for being so incredibly simple. I've no doubt they were offered for sale in other countries too. But a lot of countries like the United States, for instance, they had their own manufacturers that made equally good lamps. So in larger countries like the US, you probably wouldn't see the Oldham. Maybe you would, maybe they were marketed. I'd be interested to know. Okay, well, thank you very much for looking at this video. That is the Oldham Caplamp. And I hope to see you again soon in another video. Okay, thank you, bye.